All right, we are live for another episode of Real Estate Junkies podcast. In this podcast, we are highlighting stories and individuals who are making great impact in the industry. Today we have with us Amber Boone. Get ready to meet Amber. Amber is really good at talking, marketing, using social media. She has worked with big companies and on her own. People really like her posts on social media. She has spoken at events. She has her own podcast. When things got tough during COVID, she became a realtor in Michigan and joined DXP Realty. She knows a lot about selling houses, branding, and helping athletes she has worked with. So Amber is awesome at making dreams come true. Amber, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and talk about real estate today.
For sure. So, I want to get right into it. Okay. We'll talk about your story a little bit, but before that, I want to, talk about, I see you on social media a lot, right? And you're always sharing your story on there, and seem like you have mastered the art of going viral on social media. So, what would you say, like, number one tip for real estate agents to create posts that, that is engaging or potentially goes viral?
I think that the first tip is really to just let it come from the heart. I feel like in marketing in general, anybody with a small business or even realtors, we feel like we have to fit this cookie cutter thing and we need to listen to the experts who are telling us that we have. And that doesn't work as well as just being yourself.
Yeah.
I've worked with companies for over 10 years, managing their social media as well as my own. And when I'm given the autonomy to like do my thing and to really create from the heart for my own content and for the clients that I work with, that's the content that has virality. That is the content that usually performs the best.
Wow. So I hear you. What I hear you say is be authentic, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So from working for corporations and being in the corporate roles, from to freelancing now, right? Like, how has that diverse background influenced your approach in real estate when you became an agent, especially in Michigan?
Well, I think that, everything leading up to this point has given me the experience so that I can be successful in real estate, because real estate, you have to wear so many different hats, right? You have to in some ways like understand the legalities of real estate. You have to understand marketing, you have to understand business management, time management. You have to be all of the things. You have to be your own admin. Like, you really just have, and because of the experience that I've had leading up until now, I've been all of the things. So now
Yeah.
I need to do it for myself. And I think that's really helped me. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. And I think, yes, this is a very good point you bring up, is that a lot of people that are not in real estate, they get into real estate thinking, oh, I'm just going to sell houses, show houses and make money, right? And then when they get into the business, they understand that, oh, I have to do marketing that has nothing to do with showing houses myself first, build a brand for myself first, build an authority in the space first, and then get some clients and then have to understand their needs, right? So it's kind of like being a consultant rather than just selling, right? It's not just sales. Yes, sales is involved. And then like negotiating deals and understanding people's needs and, catering to those needs and matching, kind of like matchmaking. And then, you go through the operation side of things, showing houses, figuring out how to work the MLS, the technologies, and then
Yes.
writing contracts and doing the admin tasks and all of that, right? So it is a good point you bring up. Now, becoming a realtor during pandemic, right? A challenging time for many of a lot of people who lost jobs during pandemic. What motivated you to take that leap, and what advice would you give others facing challenges in their careers?
So, like a lot of other people, I lost my corporate job at the start of the pandemic. And
Wow.
thankfully, I had already been freelancing. I've always done freelance kind of on the side, no matter where I was working my 9 to 5. So I had that. But when things got unsure with the economy, a lot of my social media clients wanted to scale back their services. So not only did I lose my corporate job, but then I also lost a lot of the income that I had from working with clients building their social media. So some of my clients were realtors and I was doing marketing for them. And I'm like,
Wow.
you guys are doing a lot of business right now. Like while everything else was slowing down, these houses were flying off the market. And, I've always had real estate in the back of my mind, but I've always been told as well, like, hey, you'd be a great realtor. And I'm like, yeah, cool. But I never thought I would be a realtor. It just wasn't like a goal of mine. But during the pandemic, I got my real estate license. I became an ordained minister. Like I did all the things. Like I need to become a notary. I need to make sure that I have all of these different ways to make money because I'm not sure what's happening with the economy, but I know that people are making money off of real estate. And so I studied for the real estate exam and then I failed.
How many times did you take it?
I took it 5 times.
5 times. But hey, I know people who took it like 16, 17 times and they're doing good. So I don't think the test is all that. So
no, the test is, and that's the thing. And the test, Michigan is known for having one of the most difficult real estate exams. And during the time, First and foremost, I'm not good at exams. I've always been a bad test taker. If you ask me something, I can tell you I know the information, but if you put a test in front of me and ask me to write the answer, my mind goes
sweating and
yeah. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, I was under a lot of stress. It was during COVID. I had a lot going on. So so I took it, the 4th time I failed by 1 question. And I was like devastated because I was like, come on. Like, I know I'm a bad test taker, but this is ridiculous. Took it again. I passed. And you know what? I honestly don't believe that really has any impact on how I perform as a realtor. But
for sure not. Yeah, for sure.
I tell people that because a lot of people won't admit that they failed. Nobody really wants to admit that most people actually failed the real estate exam.
Yeah, actually, majority fail. I think the number is like 70% of people.
Crazy high.
Yeah. So what, I guess, like, let's go back more, right? Like what got you into, the whole social media scene? Like what got you started on that? And could you share like some of your journey into, like, I'm sure like you didn't go viral first, right? So like what was that journey like, figuring out the whole social media space and starting to work with clients and helping them with their social media?
Yeah. So I've always been intrigued by social media back before MySpace, like when we had other social media sites and then MySpace, and I was really into
what was before MySpace?
Like there was Black Planet and there was like a lot of other, and so I was into all that when MySpace came about. I really loved MySpace. I love the coding aspect to it, changing my page all the time, seeing the cool things you could do. And then when Facebook came out, I was on that, and just really intrigued by how it worked and the opportunity to connect with others in a way that we have not been able to before. So I was in college. I was studying to work in organizational development. Like I wanted to help organizations function more efficiently. And towards the end of my academic career, my advisor was like, hey, we just got this new program at CMU. It's a social media certification. Essentially, you would take classes regarding social media, marketing, public relations, and you would take them in place of your electives. And so when you graduate, you'll graduate with your bachelor's, but you'll also have this undergrad certification in social media. So I was like, that's perfect for me because I'm really intrigued. And when I started taking the classes and I was being given all of these, like the practicum that I had to do, and I had to actually work hands-on in social media, and I had to go to Michigan State basketball games and live tweet. I was like, this is dope. Like, I love this. I want to make this my career. So at the time, this was back in, 2012, 2013. Nobody, especially I lived in East Lansing at the time, nobody was hiring for a social media anything. They thought, oh, we'll get an intern to post on Facebook for us. That was the extent of it. An intern to post on Facebook. I don't think a lot of businesses realize that there's strategy behind it or how to work it or anything. So I started reaching out to nonprofits and saying, hey, I did an analysis of your social media presence. It looks like you could use some help. I would love to help you. And I would show them my audit and my analysis of their account, and I would show them what I thought I could do for them. And they would let me work it. I would do some stuff for free. I did a few clients for free. And then eventually I had a client offer to pay me. And I was like, absolutely, you can pay me to do what I've been doing for free. And so that was my first paying client. And I got a job in communications, which allowed me to handle all of the social media. So from there on, all of my corporate work was social media focused. And I was also taking clients on the side. So I think for me, it allowed me to understand that social media is different for every industry. The way that you work your social media, the way that your strategy is, that what you do to be relevant is going to differ from industry to industry. And I understood that because, like I might have been working for a nonprofit or for a Fortune 500 company, but then I have these, like salons or cake bakers or whatever, like these small mom and pop shops that perform completely different.
Yeah. And so that brings me to the next question, and it is your expertise in branding, right? And I see this in real estate agents a lot. Like they don't understand branding at all, right? Like what that means, right? They think it's a logo that they come up with or like a nice banner. Like how would you, or how can real estate professionals set themselves apart in an oversaturated market? I'm sure you came into the real estate industry through COVID. You have seen, like with you, there were a lot of new people coming into the market, and clearly you have set yourself apart. How can real estate agents use branding to set themselves apart?
I think the first thing, and I tell everybody this, is just people have to love you before they love what you do and what you have to offer. So a lot of people think, well, I'm going to make a real estate page and I'm going to post all about real estate and people are going to love it and they're going to follow me and I'm going to get a ton of leads. And then they don't, and they're wondering, then they stop posting. So like, what am I doing wrong? People don't care. No, because people don't always want, like your clients are people that you build relationships with over time. Your leads are going to come from people that you build relationships over time. So the relationships you're building today might make you a lot of money in 5 years. Yeah. So no one's going to care about interest rates or selling a house right now if they're not in the market for 5, until 5 years. So who are you? That authenticity piece comes into play again. Who are you? What makes you special? What makes you unique? Share your life, share you. I feel like your business content should be approximately 20% of what you post. A majority of what you post needs to be who you are, what you're doing, what you're passionate about. And then you keep reminding people through your 20% of your content, hey, I do real estate, by the way. And so then when they will go to sell a house or they know somebody wants to buy a house, they say, oh my gosh, you know what? Amber's a realtor. Yeah. I just saw a post the other day. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and not to mention, if you're showing your life, your lifestyle, and then people wonder how you're supporting that lifestyle, and you casually mention that you do real estate, they're like, oh, wow, really? Okay. So you're able to travel and you're able to do all this stuff because you're in real estate and you don't have to take paid time off or worry about your vacation days or whatever it may be. Like,
yeah. So the obviously, like when it comes to branding, niching is very important. Like I see you doing, NIL deals with athletes now. Like how'd you get into that? Like I was interested in that. Like how'd you get into that from?
Yeah. So my husband is he's worked in sports his entire life. And so he started a business doing NIL deals, and it just kind of seamlessly, it made sense because I've done marketing and he's always worked with athletes and he understands more of the legalities and how working with schools and what teams allow and what they don't allow and all of that. Well, I understand the marketing piece and I understand like what has virality, what looks good, what's going to perform well. So nice. It's a really seamless match, and he's pretty much running it by himself because I've been so busy with real estate, but he runs things by me like, hey, how is this? Do you think we should do this? Like, what do you think about, even when we get businesses that are wanting to work with our athletes, he's like, what do you think? And I sometimes I got to be like the bad guy and say, no, that's not a good deal.
Yeah. That's amazing. That probably is exposing you to a big network of people, right?
Yeah. So I have big ideas. I have things that I want to do. I'm excited about. I don't want to talk too much about it, but yeah, no, I have big ideas because it is a totally different space to be in. And I think there's a lot of opportunity here, but it's like, we're still in our infancy. Like Helium, which is our NIL company. I mean, that was just like 2021, I want to say. So we're still very young.
Okay, that's exciting. And now look, let's get back into branding a little bit. I talk to real estate agents all the time, and I try to ask them hard questions to see how much they know about marketing. And when I ask them what's your niche, who's your ideal client, right? Like they're like, oh, I sell houses, right? So like when it comes to branding, how big would you say to have a unique niche or a specific niche that you target? And how can real estate agents come up with that?
So normally I say I hate niches, and I feel like I feel like the best niche is to have multiple niches, because I'm a multi-dimensional person, and a lot of people have more than one side to them. So I feel like I think one of my superpowers is that I can appeal to audiences that normally you're one or the other, you're here or here, but I can get into a lot of different rooms because I can appeal to a lot of different audiences. So I would say if you are uncomfortable and feel like you can't figure out your niche, maybe your niche is to have multiple niches, and that's okay. That is unique in and of itself, and that is a niche in and of itself, to be that seamlessly multidimensional, and to where it's not coming off as weird or people aren't confused, like, wait a minute, but I thought she did this, or I thought, no, because it all goes together. But I do think it is important. Like, I would say, having said all of that, I know that as a very broad view, I want to help. I have a thing for the underdogs. So I want to help the people that really have not been set up for success in their lives. I want to help the people who really don't understand what they're doing, which, it's not the most glamorous all the time, right? I could say like, oh, I want to work with the millionaires who know it all and it's just like, boom. But no, I don't. Like, I want to work with the people who are still trying to figure it out, the people who are the first time home buyer in their family, like they're the first person to purchase a home. And so I want to appeal to those people first and foremost before anything, while knowing and still being able to assist other people who, maybe have had it a little easier. That's okay. But my heart is for the people who really need that extra TLC. And that's part of my brand, Get Real with AB, is all about like keeping it real, putting the real back in real estate. Like, I'm not a salesperson. And in real estate, that's what it is. Real estate sales. You're here to sell. When you ask realtors about their brand, they say, well, I sell houses. I don't. Like, I'm not a salesperson. I am going to guide you through this as if you were my best friend or my sister or whoever. Like, I'm really going to be honest with you. And if that means I lose a deal, so be it.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm not going to put you in a situation that's going to be bad for you just because I want to get to the closing table.
Yeah. I love that. And I completely agree with the whole branding thing. I mean, niching thing. Where I am right now in real estate, honestly, I couldn't pick one. Like, I have worked with investors, so many first-time home buyers, and so many upsizers, downsizers, seniors. Like, it's been all over the place. So I couldn't. But I also see there is the necessity, like, new agents coming into the market. You have no experience. You want to target something, right? You want to start somewhere and then grow out of there. Now, communication is key in real estate, right? Given your background in communication, what's common mistake that you see real estate agents making, and how can they improve?
Oh my God. Realtors take things so personally. And I see this, I'm in a lot of like Facebook groups for real estate agents, and I'll see questions, and a lot of people post anonymously, probably because they're scared of people judging them, and rightfully so, because people are crazy on the internet. So, but I will see, like, they'll post their text messages with their clients.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And anonymously. But when you see how they're engaging with their clients, I'm like, I wouldn't do business with you. You're taking this way too personally. You're being rude. And granted, I understand. Like, I have to call other realtors sometimes and say, talk me off a ledge, help me communicate this, because I don't care at this point. I'll cut the deal. Like, I will release them from contract because I'm about to go crazy, and then I'll have to have somebody just kind of like bring me back down to earth. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? There's a nicer way to say what I want to say to keep the relationship good. But it's hard sometimes when I think that the lay person who has never worked in real estate doesn't understand how difficult this job is. And they think that, oh, it's easy. All you got to do is write up some
open doors.
Yeah. You just got to show the house. Like, you don't really have to do anything. Like, and I've heard that not only said to me, but I've seen it on these real estate chats where clients really will say to you, like, you should be happy you're getting 2%. What? No, like, do you know how much work, do you know how many houses I've had to show you, how much gas, mileage, time, stress, whatever. And yeah, so I don't think a lot of people realize. So I understand why realtors do take it personally, but you have to understand that this is a relationship business. So you have to treat people with respect. You have to be kind. You have to, if you got to write it down, talk to somebody, vent first and then respond. You got to sleep on it. But I think that's the biggest thing. Like you said, communication. We just have to not take things, or even if you do take it personally, don't let your client know that you're taking it personally.
take it out on your wife and then
Not even that, but it's like, no, just that's why it's good to have a team or have a mentor or have realtors that you work with, that you're in regular contact with, so you can bounce things off of them and ideas or vent them. And I'm so thankful that I do have that. Like I have, because I've been working with realtors before I even got into real estate. So I have relationships that were there before this. So now I'm like, look, I need help me.
That I feel like in a way that's what I am for my team. My agents in my team would just call me and be like, "This is getting out of hand." I'm like, "What's getting out of hand?" So I just talk them out of like killing someone most of the time. So like the world of real estate is changing. I feel like, right? Technology, social media, now the AI thing is happening. What trends should agents, be on the lookout for in the next year or so? What are you seeing coming?
Well, I think that, like you said, there's a lot of things happening in technology. And I think a lot of us, especially some of the realtors who've been in the game a while, they want to stick to their ways. I'm not going to change how I do things. I've been doing it this way. It's been working for me for 20 years. No, like we need to embrace technology. I'm actually on a regular podcast every Tuesday for, it's called a Tech School podcast for Detroit School of Technology. And we talk a lot about AI and the advancements in technology. And I am very much like old school. So it takes me a little bit to accept where we're going with technology and understand how to use it. But thankfully, my counter on the podcast is 100% for AI, loves it, champion of it. And so he's teaching me a lot. In fact, last week we talked about, AI, and I was saying like, AI is great, but some of these essentially like they're creating model AIs to replicate celebrities, humans, and there's different businesses and record companies that are trying to figure out how to make sure that their clients, their artists get paid from these AIs who are training based to be this person. So I was like, at the end of the day though, AI can never be the real thing. Like they can't, like me, I talk with my hands, I move in my head, I have all of this like flavor essentially.
Yeah. Personality. Yeah.
So so next week I think we're gonna show it. But he created an AI me and showed me, and I was like, oh wow. And it made me think, because I was like, okay, you proved your point, because it was good. I mean, it sounded just like me. So anyways, it was really good. And so it made me think about how I could use that as a tool.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, if I'm using like say Chat GPT or something, and I write out a little, study some content, figure out what type of content I want to post, put something together, and then have this AI version of me do videos, like that's dope. And it's gonna
You could be sleeping and you're like viral on social media.
And I didn't exactly. So I'm just like, wow, this could be really cool. And I think that the realtors who really take advantage of this opportunity, are going to be the realtors who stake in the game and who are able to be successful. I think we just have to roll with it. Just like I said, in 2012, 13, nobody really understood the power of social media. And everybody thought that it could be handled by an intern. And now social media strategists and social media companies are getting paid really, really well to execute strategy, paid ad, works with influencers, like understand SEO, SEM, the whole nine. It's more than just posting on Facebook.
Yeah.
The people who understood that are the people who are successful today, and the businesses that are successful versus the ones who were like, oh, we'll just get an intern to post for free.
It's just like internet, right? Like they're still thinking like, oh, it's those like, oh, we just got to get on the web, right? That's what they're thinking. But I feel like this new world that we're going into, like too much content will not be enough content, right? And it's just like, you have to be on and of course like authenticity will always be like, all this generic stuff that people are putting out there. Now let's go back to your journey into real estate. How has, was EXP the first brokerage you joined, and how has joining EXP shaped your journey in the real estate world, and what can other agents learn from your experience?
Yeah, so EXP was the first brokerage that I joined. I interviewed several, and I actually went through the entire Keller Williams boot camp and got all the way to graduation. And then it was, I I was not a good culture fit. We'll say that. And so I interviewed a couple of different EXP teams. I interviewed a couple of like boutique agencies, and ultimately, like I had a lot of friends that worked for EXP, so I decided to sign with them. And I was with them for a couple of months, and for me, it was way too technological. It was way too digital for me, and I was like, I need something like hands-on, small, just to kind of get my feet wet and get a better understanding of this. So I left EXP and went with a smaller
No way, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Where did you go?
3DX.
Okay.
And I love them, by the way. Love 3DX. They were fantastic. And I think for a new agent like myself at the time, it was just what I needed to get my feet wet and get a better understanding of the business. And then once I felt like, okay, I'm good, I got this, I went back to EXP with a different team.
Okay. How has it been so far, and how has that changed? I guess, like, what can other people take from that experience?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is definitely interview different brokerages.
Sponsors.
Yeah, like interview different teams if you have to, like, just but make sure it's a good culture fit, and that also you'll have the tools you feel you need to succeed. Because some agents are like, I need leads. Other agents are like, I don't need leads. Like, I've got a huge sphere of influence. Like, I'm good. You know, it really depends on what you feel like you need as an agent. And you might get it wrong, like me. Like, you might feel like this is cool. This is what I need. And then you might get in there and realize, no, I need more of this. It's okay. It's okay to leave.
Yeah.
And if you want to come back, or if you want to go somewhere else, like, it's okay. Having said that, I would suggest that you always have your own email domain and your own your own website domain and your own email address, just in case you do switch brokerages. You're not like trying to update your business cards and trying to update, you know, your website and everything else, because you already have your own brand. And that's where the branding comes important. Like, who are you as a realtor, regardless of what broker you're with? What's your logo, what's your name, what's your website, what's your all of the things. But yeah, definitely interview, make sure it's a good fit. And don't be afraid to change if it's not. Don't feel like you're stuck anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I completely agree with that. I see this all the time, that the agents fall for the pitch, right? The pitch of this brokerage and pitch of that sponsor and pitch of that brokerage or the team, without really realizing, what do I need? Like, what do you need? Like, what are the problems you have that you need solving? And does that brokerage solves that? Like, you don't have to fall for that shiny object. And that brings me to my next question. And we're almost getting to our time, but I need to get out of this. I guess get this out of you. Is that, like, you seem to me, based on watching your stories that you share on social media, you're kind of like, to me, as a champion of imposter syndrome, right? Like, everything that you have been through, it's like, how do you keep like going and doing these new things, even though you have all of these, you know, seemingly negative experience in life, right? So it's like, what can you share from your journey that can help someone that may be out there feeling like they're not enough to do this next big thing that they want to do? Like, how do you achieve this new and great things, and even though you have been through so much?
Yeah. And, you know, I think some of that comes with age and maturity, because in my 20s, I very much had imposter syndrome, and I was sitting at room. Even now, I'm still amazed. Like, wow, I was sitting at that table, you know, but while I was there, I was just like, what am I doing here? Like, how do they know about me? And that's what I literally, in my brain, I'd be sitting at this long board table in charge of like a lot of important stuff, looking at everybody like, do y'all have any idea the things that I but I have learned that, you know, two things can be true at the same time. So yeah, I could have been through or gone through or been this type of person or whatever. That is true. But it's also true that I'm smart, that I am capable, that I am passionate, that I am all of these beautiful, wonderful things. And they can be true, because and then I always say, like, my favorite quote is, your current situation is not your final destination. So no matter where you may be today, you know, I've talked to realtors who have spent time in jail and, you know, have really gone through a lot of stuff, and then they get out and they become really successful. Like, if people knew about their criminal history, maybe they wouldn't want them. But at the end of the day, you just have to own it. Because I feel like the more you try to deny your past or what has helped shape you into the person that you are today, the more it can cause problems for you later. So you just own it. Just own all of the things that people could ever possibly hold against you. You don't have to advertise like I do. I'm like, here, look at all this crazy stuff. You don't have to do that, but just own it and just let it, just know that it's part of you. And no matter where you are today, if you're in a bad situation, you'll likely be in a better situation later. And if you're in a good situation now, be thankful, be blessed, and don't feel like, oh, well, just because I'm selling $1 million houses now doesn't mean that 2 years you're not going to be looking for a 9 to 5, because real estate just ain't moving the way you need it to anymore. So be humble.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Amber, for that advice. And thank you for everything that you do, the amazing personality that you are, and continue to be who you are. And I'm excited to see where this goes with all the projects that you're planning and everything that you have planned. So thanks for your time, and I appreciate you have being here. I'm looking forward to collaborate with you in the future more. I think that's your dog in the back. He's like,
Yeah, Stanley, thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And those of you who listened in, thank you again. And those of you who probably listen into the podcast later, we're giving away for our Boss Agents Academy, we are giving away our lead gen secrets, where we teach Facebook, Instagram ads to generate leads and convert leads on automation with 120 plus bot conversation flows. If you are interested, you can send me a message on social media with lead gen, and I'll be happy to share that with you. This is a course that we've been selling over the last 3 years. Now, with the market shift, everything that's happening with the market, with Zillow and Realtor.com upping their lead costs, and I feel like it's an obligation to share this with agents and brokers who are out there who are struggling in this market. So if you are interested in that, you can reach out to me. And Amber, again, thank you for everything. Thanks for your time, and thanks for sharing your story.